Hey Butterfly, welcome back for another Heart Talk. We are going to have a good discussion today about acceptance. This is something that I have personally had to work through in therapy, and also I've had to counsel my clients about it and friends and family, and it keeps coming up. And I feel like a lot of us are in the season of what is best for me. It's beyond living our best lives at this point. Like, that was the mantra for a few years, living my best life. Now that we've had this pandemic and a huge global shift in which a lot of us went inside, we went inside of ourselves and started questioning, digging out old patterns and behaviors and looking at our environments and saying, this kind of doesn't align with that mantra of living my best life. Now a lot of us are turning to actually doing the work, identifying things that don't necessarily align with the way that we want to live our lives. A lot of us are still at the beginning phases of still figuring that out. Wherever you are, it's fine. We're just going to have this conversation today, and hopefully it will open up your mind, provide some clarity for you on your life path. Because I don't know if I said this to y'all before, but this is my jam. Talking about the nuances in life, because here's the reality. Okay, if we can, come on, press on in. If we can be honest, a lot of things about adulthood, and I'm speaking to millennials particularly, and I'm speaking to diverse millennials in particular. A lot of our parents were out of the home working, and we raised ourselves and our siblings. We kind of like learned things as we went along. There wasn't a lot of conversation about what adulthood really looked like outside of being able to provide for yourself. That's a lot of our origin story. Just make sure you get a good job. And once you get a good job, stay at that good job. You can pay your bills. You ain't got no problems. And it's like, but I don't just want to sit here and just like let time pass. We'll get into that another time. In that vein, with not really understanding what adulthood entailed, once we got here, we figured out, damn, it's a lot of mental, emotional, physical, spiritual things that are happening that ain't nobody told us about. Nobody told us all these things was going to happen, but I'm going to tell you what, they left the back door open, and guess who walked in? Several of us. We in here, a whole lot of us. And we done figured it out. Y'all ain't tell us, but we came through the back door, all right? Because it was open. Now, I'm just going to help y'all provide some clarity about things that you want to talk about. Sometimes the group chat ain't enough. Sometimes talking to a stranger, I'll be your stranger, helps you to put your defenses down and really get things out in the open. And that's what I want this to be a space for. I want this to be a space of transparency, clarity utmost, and just healing. On the topic of acceptance, do you have the savior complex where if you learn how to grow up earlier than normal, you also learn how to clean up behind others, fix other people's mistakes? And you've also been self-driven to find out the things that you didn't know. Maybe you didn't know about finances. No one ever had that conversation with you before, but then you got a credit card, you jacked up your credit, and then you started to figure it out, right? Because no one had that conversation with you. But you said, I'm just not going to accept that this is the way that I'm supposed to live because I want more. And if I want more, then I'm determined to figure out how that can happen. A lot of the times when you are the trailblazer in that sense, you also inherit a cape. And with that cape, you start trying to fix everybody's problems. Yeah, girl, guy, them, y'all. I'm talking to you, okay? You inherit that cape and you clean up after your parents, your siblings, your friends, your relationships. Present company included, okay? I've been there too. But sometimes we have to look at the ways in which we volunteer to help people. And a lot of the times, us volunteering to fix things and help people, it's really a trauma response to kind of limit the impact of their bad decision. Because you know that they're making a bad decision, and you know ultimately they will come to you to fix it or help them. So a lot of the times we try to step in before, you know what I mean? Before they make those bad decisions, because you like, I know where this is going. Somebody got to stop them. You can't drive 100 miles into a brick wall. I got to detour the car in some way so that I don't have to buy them a brand new car and I don't have to help them through recovery. Maybe I could just get them to bump into a tree and that'll be less of a big deal in the situation. So a lot of us step in to avoid the catastrophe of other people's bad decisions. But the reality is this: what if that's just who they are? What if they don't have the bandwidth, the will, the strength to change? We think because we have been self-directed and have been able to find out so much and kind of hold on to new pieces of freedom that maybe people in our inner circle have never reached, we assume that others have that same will and determination, and they just need the right motivation, or they just need a hand up, and they just need this, and then they will. But what if they never will? And that's why we have to talk about taking our peace. Dr. Maya Angelou told you, when somebody shows you are the first time, believe them. It's easy to say that when that's a stranger. Even harder when that's someone that you love and you have an emotional investment with. Even harder to just kind of cut them off when they've showed you time and time and time again that they're not willing to change. But I'm offering this point of clarity for you. What if that's all that there is? They can't operate at a different level than where they are. This is the person that you are in relation with, whether that's familial, romantic, professional, X, Y, and Z. This is who they are. So now from that, you have to take your peace back. And part of that peace is boundaries. For me, I do not lend out money. Either I can afford to give it to you or I cannot. That's it. Because lending money for me became a point of, they never had it to give it back. It was causing stress on the relationship. It was just like, I know you don't got it because you asking me for it. So you're probably not going to have it when it's time to pay it back. And it's a never ending loop. But if I just give it to you, I disconnect from it. And then I already know internally, well, once I get to this threshold of giving, that is my max. I'm done. You cannot request cash from me again. And that is part of my boundary process, because I have family and friends who, I was doing better then and still for some, and they were just seeing me as an ATM. And personally, that started to hurt. Like, you don't call to check up on me. You think that I just got it all together because I've demonstrated through my life that I don't need to have other people save me because I'm in that savior role. Does that sound familiar? So then they're only reaching out to you when they need something. And then that kind of becomes a codependent relationship. And it's just like, the only way that that's going to change is if you personally take the role of leadership and change it and establish a boundary. This is no longer okay with me, and give them the space to now figure out what the bottom looks like without me. Because sometimes the reality is, once you remove that safety net from under people, they might not want to look over the ledge. They might want to stay on the surface. But when they got that safety net, ain't it funny when people know that they got people that they can continuously go to bail them out, how frequently they can risk, because they're not risking their dollars and cents. They know you got it. I remember I had a family member didn't pay their rent for several months and was renting cars like it wasn't nobody's business. Renting cars, partying, hooting and hollering. Came to me by the time the eviction notices came, talking about, I need some money or me and my kids gonna be put out. You wasn't thinking about you and your kids when you was out here riding, having fun. So for me, I had to establish the boundary, because this individual knew I can use my kids as a bargaining tool to make bad decisions because people will feel bad. And that's the thing. Sometimes behind the scenes, manipulation, people who are closest to you know your triggers and how to manipulate you the best. The best. I mean, okay? They watch you, they know what appeals to your heart, and they're like, I could use that, put that in my back pocket. So once you start putting up those boundaries, they can't just see you as an opportunity to take advantage or to disrespect your time, your resources, things of that nature. Because if we are talking about living our best lives, that's not going to happen without us being an active participant in telling the world what that looks like. And a lot of times that got to start at home. A lot of times that has to start at home because people think just because you blood, your best friends think just because y'all been like this, your partner thinks just because y'all been like this, that we don't have no boundaries. You know what I mean? Like I can do and say and you'll just be there. But you got to let people know the days of riding and dying. Gas prices is up. Dying. It's already a pandemic. Like, why I gotta get in this car and ride and die? It's too much. It's too much at this point. A lot of us are coming into our senses. I don't want it if it's that extreme. Like, can we just ride to the store or to the park? Why we got to ride and die? It's a bit much at this point. So, in concluding this conversation, I want you to consider how your life could change if you were able to accept people in your life whom you may have a codependent or enabler relationship with. And I know that you're watching this video because, like I said, present company included. I had to do the same thing. The same words of advice I'm giving you, the same things I had to do. Reconcile my relationships and see whether or not these are aligning with the type of feelings, emotions, presence that I want it to be in my life. If it aligned to me being happy, healthy, and whole. So I want you to consider those relationships that you have tension with. If you would have better peace, if you could just accept that you can't change and you can't save. That they are an adult or an able-bodied person who is actively making the decisions in their lives that is leading them to where they are. Whether that is at your front door begging or not. They are actively making the decisions in the same way that you found yourself in precarious situations and you decided, I'm not going to stay here because this doesn't align with what I want. I'm going to figure out a way. I may not know today, but everybody starts from zero. I can learn. And you figured it out and you found new freedoms for yourself. And you've given birth to new feelings inside of yourself. You know what I mean? Like our parents wanted for us to work, get a good job. And that's because they came from a space where it was so much harder for them to even be employable. So for them, staying with one company, that was the way to go for security. For us, it's like, take that baton of security, but also I want to enjoy my life. I don't want to wait until retirement to then begin the process of living. I don't want my career to have to end in order for me to live. How can I enjoy those moments on a daily basis? That's where you are. And you've been able to do that so much so you look at other people and you assume that they can do the same. And I'm telling you, sweetheart, everybody doesn't have the bandwidth. Everybody doesn't have the emotional strength, the sense, the will to change. Some people are who they are. And you can't keep looking for the potential in people because you are a grower and a nurturer. You can't keep looking for people to nurture and grow while simultaneously depleting yourself. Now, I want you to think about that. Let me know what you thought in the comments. I'm going to try to keep these videos rolling every Thursday because you know Thursday is my favorite day of the week. Keep me honest. All right. You can follow me across all platforms. I am at Divinely Ty everywhere. Of course, during this process, Some of my words got a little jumbled, but guess what? That's life. I'm not interested in perfection. I like real. Now I'm going to see y'all again when our hearts have to talk. Bye.